Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Equitas generation. Folks, hope you're all doing well and enjoying this random weather here in Ireland. And I hope you're doing well across the world wherever you're tuning into this. I am delighted to come back and do a live tonight, and I will be interviewing Nicola Kinnard Comedy. I hope I have pronounced that right. Super excited to have her on. Such a fascinating profile and backstory. Really excited to have a chat with her about what she's up to, her story, the big upcoming event. I think we're going to talk about some wearable AI and tech in the equine space as well. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. We were supposed to do this last week, but due to unforeseen circumstances, we started had to cancel at the last minute. So excited to get it done tonight and to welcome Nicola on. It is going to be a great chat, I have no doubt. Hope you're all loving as well the Double D's podcast and the revised version of Sarah is on maternity leave. I am absolutely loving all the guests coming on to join more and to have chats. It is very cool to see. Love seeing some of the OGs as well from Equitas involved and yeah, tuning in. So I'm going to wait for Nicola to join us. I really am excited about this chat. She's done some very fascinating things in the equine space, in the tech space, in the event space, and yeah, excited to have her on. I can see that she is. If you haven't followed her profile at NKC Business Coaching, and hopefully she'll get to join us momentarily. She should be on by now, so I will send an invite.
And just like that, I'm here.
And just like that, magic, poof, and
I
you
love
appear.
it when it works. Isn't it great? Oh, great to see you, Shane. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad in yourself.
Yes, I'm good, thank you. I had just had an earring crisis, but it's all solved now, so I'm ready. Because you just can't go live without earrings, can you?
I have the same problem. Yeah, I can't go live without black t-shirts. That seems to be my fashion trend, the black t-shirts. I have an unlimited amount of them inside. Uh, so introduce yourself, Nicola. Who are you and what you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Nicola Kinnard Comedy. I am the director of NKC Equestrian Training, and I am just really obsessed with helping people involved with horses make a better world for horses, be that through business growth, be that through mindset coaching, be that through education.
I love
That
it.
is who I am, and that is what we do at NKC. It's all about continual professional development, it's all about business coaching, it's all about mindset coaching, and it's all driven by the love of horses.
I like that. Equestrians do have an unwavering affection for their horses, to be fair. I've had
Oh
multiple
yeah,
chats with
like
people
every
today.
equestrian professional you will meet, particularly women, we are all just, 5-year-old pony mad girls, just in older bodies. And and when you can turn that into a career, that's pretty cool.
I love it. I've actually had two chats today with two different women, actually, and they were ringing me about series or articles they want to do on equine welfare and the consistencies across the world or the lack thereof.
Mm,
And it's just really fascinating chats. So I fully agree with you. 5-year-old girls still loving their ponies and wanting a better world for their ponies and their horses. I
yeah.
like it.
Yeah, definitely. And then it's you then you have a platform to say more, which is exactly what you guys have created, an amazing space for women to share across so many different topics relating to horses. And it's absolutely incredible because it can be a hard place, the horsey world. I think that's fair to say. Like it's looking after horses is
Unequivocally.
hard.
Yeah, well, I'm only new to the industry. Well, in comparison to most people, I'm only in it 3 years. And I didn't grow up with horses, any of that. So I would 100% say one of the one of the false realities I would have thought before I came in is everybody has loads of money.
Yes.
Everything is really expensive, and they like horses. And now I realize horses are part of the family. People
Yeah.
will feed the horses before they feed themselves. And they will even to a point overextend their mind, their bodies, their finances to the mind and protect their horses in whatever respect
Oh,
it is.
100%. And to the non-horsey person, I mean, it looks like Jilly Cooper's Riders was a big hit last year on TV. That's what it looks like. It's not, yeah, it's not like that at all. You know, it's a lot of hard work. The glamour side, the white breeches, that's like 2% of the horsey world, isn't it? The rest of the time, you're up to your neck in mud. A
Chasing
horse has just
horses
trodden
around
on
fields
you.
trying to pull them in.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. But yeah, and so I think it's hard. It's hard graft being involved with horses, and I think it can also be really, really lonely, particularly growing a
Indeed.
business. It can feel like, you know, it can feel like there's lots of competition. It can feel like you're just on your own. And I think I coach largely equine and canine therapists. They are on their own a lot. You know, they're in the car, off to see another horse, or maybe they've got a clinic and it's just them and patients coming. And that can be really bad when you throw in social media, because great as social media is, because otherwise we wouldn't be chatting now, it can just make everybody else's life look so glossy and everyone
Oh, the
else is having an
comparisons.
amazing
The
day.
comparisons. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's made it harder to be in the equine space. You know, I started out as a riding instructor a very long time ago. I was saying this to somebody recently, if I wasn't there riding a horse or teaching a horse, there was basically no business activity to be doing, because you could put a postcard up in the tack shop. That was about it. And in some ways that had its own limitations, but in other ways it was also really liberating, because there was nothing else you were either doing your job or you weren't. There was
I
none of
love
this
that.
kind of like middle ground that people find themselves in now, where you feel like you should be kind of constantly on, all that sort of hustle culture
There's a
that
big
probably
stigma
doesn't do us
around
any
it,
good.
isn't there? Just
Mm.
always being on, always having to do something, and then when you're off. Somebody told me, I'm gone back 10 years ago, and I hadn't really, like, I was 5 years into the startup journey, and I don't think I'd taken a holiday once. I was big into that big hustle culture all the time. You have to do it, not you wanted to do it.
Bro marketing,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, and a guy literally gave out to me once. That a guy I really look up to, John Peebo was his name, and he was like, "You do realize you've earned the right to have that break, and you do
Mm.
realize your mind needs that break to recharge." And it was literally, it took 5 or 6 years for me to be in business to understand, and even I'm still not great at it because I love to work. But the principle behind it, I got that, and it's the same for questions. It's you have to take time. You have to
Mm.
find yourself. You have to be with you. And I know you love being with your horses, but that
Mm.
break is important. That detachment to a point is
Mm.
important because it allows your mind to recalibrate or your
And
body
it's
to
hard when
recalibrate.
horses are your job and also are your fun, you know. And I had that for many years. It's like I would ride my horse at like 4:30 a.m. just to fit it in, and then you'd go off and do horsey stuff all day, and then you'd be fairly broken by like 8 p.m. It's hard when there's, you know, because you don't get that in most other occupations, like a surgeon, for example. They do surgery as their hobby as well. That
Yeah.
would be weird, wouldn't it?
100%.
And that is very, very unique to the horsey world. And I think it just puts that pressure on people mentally so much, because you can really lose the boundaries between when you're not working, when you are working. And sadly, your own horse can really feel like almost a bit of a job when you're very busy and very pushed.
Yeah, fair. Very fair.
Mm,
How have
but
you seen the mindset, the associated pressures for that mindset evolve over the last 10, 15 years? So your job and your role has obviously, and I want to go back to the start, but I want to start there. Your role has obviously evolved, your job or what you do, the services you offer, etc. But how have you seen mindset and the pressures that come with it adapt or change over the last 10, 15 years?
that's a great question. I think the I'm not good enough, and not the fear of it going wrong, because actually when you're involved with horses, things go wrong all
All
the
the time.
time. Like, the fear of people think it's the fear of failure, but actually, you know, I was getting on a horse the other week, I failed because I'm there at the mounting block, horsey's just wandering past. That's a fail. You can't catch a horse, it's a fail. Horsey people are cool with failure, because that happens all the time. It's actually the fear of it going right, or the fear of it going right and then it going wrong, which really derails most people. So I think that's been the biggest shift, because we can see so many other people's journeys. You know, going back to me many, many years ago, with my little postcard, and you just kind of hope clients found you, and they did find you. You didn't really know what other people were up to in the same way. And there were other trainers, and you met up, and you kind of did things together. And it was more, particularly where I was, really young, I was starting out my journey. It was more I looked up to those people rather than thought, oh my gosh, I'm like rubbish. They're so much better. It it's just so different, and I think that there's so many more people doing what can look like a similar service, particularly equine therapists. But again, there's lots of trainers. Every single person with a horse seems to now have an online course. It can feel like there's an awful lot of competition. So I think they're not good enough. The imposter syndrome, massive issue, and that's really changed. And that secret fear that it might go to plan is one that I think is it's like an undercurrent that people don't even realize it's there until they do some digging. They come and do something with me, or they join one of our challenges or something, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I felt like that. Because quite often with horses it doesn't go to plan,
Can you
like,
elaborate on that though? Can you take me back a step? So why has imposter syndrome evolved, and how has it evolved? And can you give me the reasoning as you can see it as to why it's moved in the direction it has, and
yeah.
what are the
And it's
compensation issues?
it's a great question, and to be honest, I'm not sure I've got a definite answer as to why. I
I just
think
think it's a really interesting thing to talk
it is
about.
a really interesting one,
Yeah,
isn't it? I think seeing other people's perfect
yeah.
lives is a real cause in us then not feeling good enough, because you just didn't see everybody's edited highlights. Yes, you might have seen other people at a show, but you might have seen them, I don't know, arriving late, or you might have seen them falling off in the warm up or falling in a water jump. Because on social media we only see the good bits, and if you might follow like thousands of other equestrian accounts, because horsey people like looking at pictures of horses. All you're seeing is people's best bits. Yeah, yeah, and some people do some really fun stuff with, oh, look, all the things that went wrong. But generally, you're just seeing the good bits, whether that's business, whether it's how their horses are going. And I think if you're not careful, if you're not taking steps to protect your mindset, and if you're not looking at social media as an amazing source of inspiration and connection and growth,
Absolutely.
but if I was talking to someone about this morning, if you jump out, wake up, open your eyes, straight on scrolling, that can really play havoc with your mindset, because that is you just kind of chipping away. Oh, look at those other people. Oh, look at that person in my area. Oh gosh, look, my 6-year-old isn't doing that. And just bit by bit, water on a rock. That's where I think the imposter syndrome is so much more of an
And it
issue.
starts embedding then in the subconscious, doesn't it? Because there's
Yeah,
that reinforcement of
totally.
seeing it again and again,
Yeah.
and then it
And
starts
if that's the
mounting it.
belief you've got, all
Yeah.
your brain's doing, your subconscious is like an amazing Google search engine. It's just looking for proof all the time. And then you can find that proof pretty easily. It's like the belief you can't make money with horses. I do lots of money mindset work with people. You will find a zillion examples of people that can't make money with horses. But if you had that belief, I can make money with horses, you could also find lots of examples of people creating an equine based business and making the money they want. It's what you believe, your brain will just find evidence for. And most people are kind of sleepwalking through life a little bit, not really
100%.
aware. Yeah, definitely.
100%. Yeah.
And then you're just getting served up what your current programming,
And then you go to
gives
the
you.
algorithms, and then you engage, and then the algorithms
Yes.
serve you up what you want, and
Yeah,
you can keep
exactly.
reinforcing it
Yeah.
so indirectly, and it literally increases that pressure,
Yeah.
increases that
Yeah.
imposter syndrome.
And then, we
Interesting.
have so many of the same thoughts as yesterday, the day before, the day before, the day before. And then suddenly you turn around and 10 years has gone, and you're like, oh, crap, what just
And also
happened?
the percentage of those thoughts that you have that don't come true. It's
Yes.
either 18 or 19 out of 20 thoughts statistically do not come true. So
Yeah.
18 or 19 out of the negative thoughts out of 20 that you have do not come true.
Mm.
But you consistently have them again and again and
Yeah.
again. And you're
Yeah.
like, the amount of time, the exorbitant amount of time you spend thinking about stuff that will never happen, does not come
Yes.
true, and has a negative effect on your mental health, your
Yeah.
psyche, be it
Your
imposter syndrome,
body,
whatever. Yeah,
everything.
everything.
That's so true. That's so true. So social media, I love it. We wouldn't be chatting now. I've grown my entire business on social media, but although we do people's social media, I teach people how to do social media. I really am very cautious how I personally use social media. I have to be really mindful, because it can chip away at you if you're not careful. So to me, that is the biggest reason that imposter, we're seeing more imposter syndrome. I think the other reason, it's a bit like when we get a new diagnostic tool with equine health. It's like, oh, why are we seeing so many more of this injury? Maybe it's because we can find them better. People talk about it more. It's okay to say I don't feel good enough, I've got imposter syndrome, in a way that 15, 20 years ago you kept your mouth shut and you got on with it. It's okay to say, I'm finding this hard, or I don't feel good enough. But I do also think it can, I don't really like the term imposter syndrome, because it is just not feeling good enough. And I think it can
Yeah.
be like, oh, well, I've got imposter syndrome, I can't do that. It can be a little bit of a, I don't want to say excuse, but I think we can use it to feed that cycle of saying stuff.
I have an unwavering belief that there's a lot of people out there who have neurodivergent minds that use it as a superpower.
Mm,
And I have the same belief that there's a lot of people out there with neurodivergent minds that use it as a crutch.
mm,
And you can have opposite ends, and again, it just reinforces what you said. What
mm.
you look for, you will find. If
Yeah,
you want to find other people who think it's a crutch, you will find them. If you
yeah,
want to find other people who think it's a superpower, you will find those too. Which one do you want to find? Which one do you want to be?
yeah.
Who do you want to be?
100%, because we always have a choice. We always have a
Always.
choice. Even when it feels like you don't have a choice, you do.
That's still a choice to feel, to think. Yeah,
Exactly.
100%.
It's a choice to do nothing. It's a choice to not, I don't know, do 10 star jumps and slump on the sofa with your phone. We're just making a series of choices. But again, going back to that sleepwalking point, I remember years ago, somebody once saying to me, I said, well, like, how do you want to be today? And they were just like, what do you mean? I just sort of see how the day goes and it sort of just decides how I feel. I was like, what? Like, you're missing a trick there. You could flip that around and you could decide how you want the day to go, and you'll find the day does go like that.
I think that is it fair to say that most people don't understand their mindset well enough? Like I do a podcast with a girl, Katie. She's very sick. We're supposed to be doing it today. She's sick. So I was on with her yesterday, FaceTime her, just to see how she was. She looked terrible. Her words, not mine. She felt terrible. Her chest was at all of this. And she just having it admit there, wanted to just yuck. So I went, you know what to do? She said, you won't make me smile, definitely not. No. I said, right, well, just try something for your mindset. I said, write down the things that you're frustrated about, because she was mentioning a couple of things. I said, write them down on a list. The ones that frustrate you the most in the last 18 months. I said, now talk them out loud. I said, now when you finish that, write down a list of all the things you're really proud and happy with and the improvements you've made in the last 18 months. Now read those out loud. And then I want you to put both lists side by side and then see the difference in both. And then she got on to me last night, that was amazing. I have a big smile on my face, I feel. And I was like, so anybody can do that. Like my sister's a psychotherapist, so she guides me on
Mm,
exercises, I have a morning routine, all these different things.
mm,
But I just found it a very interesting exercise to take somebody who feels shit, who
mm,
doesn't, they're sick, they're just not in the mood for anything. You put them through this simple little thing, it'll take you 10
mm,
minutes, and at the end of it all, you've just got that, you feel that positive energy, you
mm,
feel good about yourself, you
mm.
feel, all still while you were sick, you were the same as you were 10 minutes ago, you just
Yeah.
changed something.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it'll be interesting to see. I bet she recovers faster from making that shift.
Oh, 100, and she sent me on her list. I have them on my phone.
Love
And
it.
the small or the frustrations are bigger, and she was like, "But I can control all those. I can
Yeah.
manage." And I was like, and then it's the thought process she had to go down, and it's not thinking about how bad you feel. I want to pull
Mm.
you back to the start, though, right? So,
Go.
tell me about the beginning of the story. When did you first ride a horse? What were you like in your earlier years? And then we're gonna go on the
Oh,
journey. I want to know back to
pony
the origins.
obsessed. So I think probably the first, not my first word, I think I wanted a pony from about the age of 5. And my granny, who's sadly no longer with us, my granny was Irish, and we used to go to stay with granny in Wexford every holidays. And I remember I always wanted a pony. I had lots of older second cousins, my mum's cousins, who all, there was just horses everywhere. Everybody rode, everybody hunted. And I remember a knock on the door, rushing out, and they'd found, oh, God knows whose pony. They'd got this pony from somewhere. And they were like, oh, here's a pony for you for the week. Now, my mum was not horsey. My mum didn't ride. So she's no idea how to tack up this pony. But I just remember this was like the best thing in the world, a pony. And I look back on the photo, I think, my gosh, she must have been about 150. But anyway, Mary Legs was installed in the orchard for me for the couple of weeks that we were over with Granny. And that was it. All I wanted was a pony forever. And I didn't have a pony. I rode at riding schools and I just used to pretend that the ponies were mine. And then went to my first competition like age 10. And it taught me, do you know what? It taught me so much, being so desperate to do something. I remember when I was about 11 asking my dad for an advance of my pocket money, not to go and buy some sweets or a magazine or something. I said, look, I need like 7 weeks. I'd worked it all out with the calculator, 7 weeks worth of pocket money. So can you just write it as an entry fee for this? Can you write me a check for this entry fee for this show? Because I really want to go to this show. And I look back, I was so organised. Like I had to find a pony, find someone to take me to a show, get the entries posted off. Because that was, if I wanted it, it was all up to me. And it might have felt a bit hard at the time, but I look back and I think, my goodness, that did teach me an
100%.
awful lot. It really did. So, yeah, horses have been just like everything. And then when I was about 15, I got a pony on loan. And my parents, I look back and think, gosh, were they mad? They rented me a field and they were like really close to our house. And they're like, there you go, get on with it, basically. And I had an allowance. I was telling a story to someone the other day that had to cover like my bus fare to school, the horse's shoes, like just everything. I think it was a little bit of a shortfall because I did have a Saturday job mucking out stables. But it taught me so much about like managing money, managing time, because that horse just depended on me. There was a couple of other horses there and there was some older ladies, but it was just me going to feed that horse, ride the horse, take the
Love
horse
it.
to shows. And it was so much fun. And then I didn't actually want to work with horses. Like I loved horses, loved riding, but I didn't want to work with horses. I wanted to be a journalist. So I went off to university, obviously a few years down the line, had a
Yeah.
break in New Zealand, riding horses. I went off to uni. I didn't really enjoy it. I was a bit bored. And I think it was because I didn't have a horse. And
And
suddenly
what
I had
did you
this
do in
time.
uni?
I did a journalist degree. And
Interesting.
it was interesting, but it just didn't, it was just all this other time. And I think everyone else was just out getting drunk. And I was like, well, I can go out and have a nice time at night, but I'm awake at 6 because I'm used to like riding 2 horses every day. So I was a bit lost. I didn't really know what to do with myself, and I didn't stay the whole course. It just wasn't the right fit. So I trained as a riding instructor, and it just felt like such a calling, such a passion, and I just loved it. Loved every second of teaching people to ride horses. And then in my mid-20s, I was really ill with ME and I had a bit of a break as it still did a bit of teaching. And I got myself better by basically pretending I was a horse with a tendon injury and just doing very restricted exercise for me, like basically nothing. And I thought, well, if I could get a horse back from an injury, I would do like 5 minutes. Then I would just basically box rest it. And that's what I did for myself, got better. Then I took a job in Greece riding horses. That was super fun.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really fun. While I was ill, I did my master's degree in equine science, and then we came back from Greece, and I took a job training horses and like running a big riding centre. Had a bit of a break from horses for a little while, and I was in corporate vet sales. That was very fun. And then I had a baby, and then I wanted to have some freedom, and that's why I started my
Can I
coaching
ask you
company.
then that question? Did life expectations, realities, ambition, did that change after you had the baby?
Oh, massively. I loved my corporate sales job. It was really, really fun. And I think having worked, 100 hours a week on a yard, I was like, gosh, this is super easy. And it was
And you
really,
get way
really
more
fun.
money.
Yeah. Yeah, the money was good, but it was flexible, fairly flexible
Yeah, yeah.
time-wise. Although, yes, it wasn't flexible once I'd had a baby, but compared to being on a yard from like 5 a.m. till 10 p.m., I was like, gosh, all this free time to ride my horse. And it was really nice to have work time, which wasn't directly about horses. Yes, I was working with vets and was training vets and was helping vets with sales, but it wasn't literally hands on with horses. It was fun. And then, yeah, and I said to my team, I reckon I'll be back in 6 weeks. I won't know what to do with a baby. I'll be a bit bored because I wasn't quite sure what I'd do with a baby. I thought once I can put her on a pony, I'll be fine. But then when she was about 2 weeks old, I was like, but I never want to leave. And it was really hard. It was such a change I didn't expect at all. And I just wanted that freedom. And then I was still teaching people to ride horses a bit. And I just felt so frustrated with only ever helping one horse at a time. And yes, you can make a massive shift, you can make a massive change. But I was like, there's billions of horses that I could be helping and impacting. I didn't know how, no clue how I'd do it. But I just knew that's what I needed to do next. And then bit by bit. I sort of set things up. My business is a happy accident, really. Like, I just did this one course. It was so much fun. And I was like, oh, all those skills that I've always enjoyed, the sales, the marketing, and the horses and working with vets, I can do it all in a course. I can do it on a Saturday or a Sunday. I can do Play-Doh in the day with my little daughter. I was like, dang, this is it. And then we've just celebrated 8 years in business, and it went from there.
What was the first year like? That acclimatization, that adjustment. I've just seen Sarah's after joining the call. I was messaging Sarah yesterday. She is 4 weeks old now. She was talking about John just being back to work. What was that adjustment like in
Yeah.
year one? Mind, body, beliefs, habits, behaviors.
Yeah,
What was that
I
like?
think having horses sets you up really well for having a child because you're used to putting
Yeah.
somebody else first. So to be honest, it was hard because my daughter didn't sleep masses. But it was fine because I remember saying to myself once, right, if I can get a wormer down my 16.3 horse, I can do this. Like, it will be absolutely fine. And she just came over with me. I was outside a lot. And everything does shift. Your priorities change. For
Yeah.
me, the priorities changed massively. But it was an adaptation, but not as difficult as I thought it would be at all. And certainly, baby number two, who came along a number of years later, it was easy because you've already got, it's a bit like getting a second horse. You already know what you're doing. So horse number two is no bother. Economies of scale. So yeah,
And the
it's been
questions like to have
amazing.
multiple horses all the time. They always
Yeah,
want a new horse. You'll hear questions all of them telling you they're broke and they don't have enough time, they don't have this. But then you'll hear them 2 days later, I'm thinking about getting a new horse.
yeah.
I'm like, we had a chat 48 hours ago, and like, it can't be more than 48 hours ago. Thinking about getting a new horse. I saw a
I
lovely one
know, I
yesterday.
know.
I'm like, what has happened in the
Horses
48
find
hours?
you as well. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, no, it's been an amazing journey, and what I crave was that time freedom and that flexibility,
Love it.
and it's been absolutely
What
incredible.
has that business journey been like? What has that evolution 8 years? I mean, I don't know what the percentage is. I used to know the amount of businesses that don't survive after 3 years and 5 years. Equitas just turned 3 years. X amount of when the 1st of July, so 15 days ago, 2 weeks ago. What has that journey been like for you? I think like a ducked water type, I would seem, because it's all the things you love in one, all the things you're naturally good at by the looks of it in one. What has that journey been like? And can you tell us a little bit about the company, what you do and who you do it for?
Yeah, sure. So I think because I started the business as like a happy accident, I was having a really challenging time. I checked out mentally with my corporate job. I wanted to be at home and just other things going on. And setting up that first course was a distraction. And I didn't have a website. I didn't have a logo, like nothing. I had a Facebook page from Teach Him to Ride that I think had like 40 followers who literally just people I knew, like people I actually knew in real life. So I set up this one Facebook event for this first aid course, and I had a vet in mind that I'd do it with. I picked a venue, and the venue said, yeah, we could host that. The course wasn't created, the course wasn't written, and I thought, like, I'll just stick out and see what happens. I sold all the tickets in like 48 hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And I think it was a part of me that would love to have been like a wedding planner. So, like, running events and like making sure the food was nice. I just loved it. It didn't feel like working. And to be honest, it's never felt like working. Like, it's just been so much fun. And I think I've been so intentionally blinkered to, oh, well, businesses don't survive and this will be hard. I was just like, no, this is just going to work because I wanted to help more horses. It ticked that box. It gave me the time freedom. It was addictive as well. So I had this first idea in June. We ran the first course in November. The following year, we ran 38 different events. And then I found out I was pregnant again, and I probably wouldn't have planned quite so many for the autumn. But there we
Yeah,
go. And
38
yeah, it was
events is
fine.
impressive. I mean, I like to do a lot of shit at the same time. I really do. That's impressive. That
Yeah,
is extremely
there
impressive.
was there was no real plan at all. It was just like,
Even
and I
more
remember
impressive.
And I remember one of I think the second event, people were like, this is amazing, this is so good. We were like, we'd love to come on another course. I think my second or third event. And I remember I used to use this site called Bookwhen to take bookings because it had no website, like nothing. I remember thinking, right, you're all going to buy a second course today. I just picked a date, made up a title, and I knew what I wanted to cover.
Oh yeah, I've not honestly. I've not. I would have
Hadn't,
done the same thing. I
yeah,
don't
hadn't
honestly. Yeah.
hot leads. Hadn't written the materials. I was just like, we'd love to see you back. It's here. People were buying when they're in the room, and I was like, oh my god, it's addictive. I loved my sales journey. I loved my corporate sales job, but I didn't want the corporate hours. And I was like, this is ticking every box. And then it's just growing from there. You know, we have a conference. Then we added in, I think doing so much mindset work is something I've done for years. It's how I got myself better from Emmy. You know, I said how I treated myself like
Yeah.
a horse with a tendon injury, but I also was very blinkered. And I remember a consultant saying to me, well, you'll never ride again. And I was just like, you freaking watch me. Must have been
Yeah.
crying for
Wait,
about an
wait
hour.
and see.
I was just like, well, I am going to. And I just had I used so much visualization. You know, I used to ride for 5 minutes at a time, and my incredibly lively thoroughbred, she was just like a donkey, bless her. The alarm would go off, and she'd be like, oh, brilliant, stop, you get off now. And when I could ride for 10 minutes, I remember convincing one of my friends to ride my horse for about an hour and a half to a venue where they were running a show so I could go and do a walk and trot dressage test. And so I did like a minute warm up and then a 3 minutes, maybe I did a 4 minute warm up, and then however long the test was, 3 or 4 minutes. And I was second, but I saw that all happening, and I practiced it all in my head. And I think that mindset work has been with me in an informal way for so long that then I started using more and more mindset work to grow my business, because that first bit, was just really fun. But then, you know, limiting beliefs come in, and I was like, no, I've got to get rid of that. Then that really led me to train formally NLP, hypnosis, EFT tapping, and then just helping other people to grow their business and change their own lives and get rid of things like
Can I,
imposter syndrome.
can
It's
I
been
ask,
amazing.
right? What I love this. I love the evolution. I love the natural progression of it all, and I love the energy that radiates when you talk about helping people and the mindset of it all.
Mm,
It's an incredibly powerful thing. What is the consistent blockages or patterns that align to blockages that you see in the mindset of equestrians? Because one of my biggest frustrations since day dot of Equitas has been the confidence of women in the equine industry.
mm,
73% of the industry is female. Most of the decision makers are male. You have a lot of the coaches at a high level are male. A lot of the peak riders on international teams, whatever the discipline, are unless it's dressage, are fundamentally male.
mm,
And you have all these issues, but I also look in the industry and I'm like, there is so many powerful women here. There
mm,
is so many women that if they could see what, and I said all the time, if you could only see what I see,
mm.
I wonder how
I
you'd
think
feel.
you've nailed it. I think we've got such a culture of it being hard to succeed. And I think there is such a culture of being sort of squashed down in
Yeah,
the equine industry.
repressed. Yeah, yeah.
I think that is a real issue. And I think people just not working on themselves, because you can be working on your riding position, you can be working on your horse, but I think it's only relatively recently that people have seen the value in working on you, be that on your physical strength, like for riding outside of your horse, you know, in the gym, or working on your mindset. And I think it's a bit sad actually, because you're right,
It
there's so
is.
many incredible women, and I think they just don't see where I don't think they believe they can get there, so they don't allow themselves to
Yeah.
dream. And I think, like, I had this, I don't even know where this came from, this idea I'd help all these horses, and then I got so into the fact that actually I could then do lots of charity work, and that just lit such a rocket up me. I couldn't not do it. But I think most people never dare to dream, and it's hard when you're like in horses and in those long hours, and you don't always have that mental space and that bandwidth to do anything different.
100%.
But I think that is one of the biggest things, is we have a culture of limiting beliefs in the equine industry. It's hard, you can't make money with horses, and people just don't give themselves the space to think, to dream. And there's a lot of negativities, a lot of people tell you can't.
Yeah.
And it is hard to say, watch me and stick with that plan. It is. You know, I remember that, like that
Consistency in
consultant.
behavior and thought process. Yeah.
It's hard. It is hard to kind of stick two fingers up at everyone else and say, well, I'm going to do it, so just watch me. and stick with it and keep cultivating that belief, because we both, life, business, horses, it's not just decide incremental progress. It's not, it's messy, it's up, it's down, forward a bit, it's down 20 steps, and that's just the fun of the journey. But you've got to see it as fun.
How important is visualization, manifestation? I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction.
Mm,
You want to you're thinking about buying a red car and suddenly you see red cars everywhere.
mm,
Or you start manifesting the relationships you want
mm.
or the mindset you want, and you start imagining where you'll be. How important a role does that play? Or does that, sorry, let me rephrase. Does that play a role in some of the trainings that you do? Because you seem to
Yeah,
be very much
massively.
into the mind.
Visualization. What I teach people, my body of work is business strategy, but what I call brain training. Brain training for the busy. Because horsey people never got time to faff around in 3 hours of silent meditation. Like, we need to be practical, we need to get on with stuff. So what I love is when people connect with where they want to go. They need to decide where they want to go and connect with it. And that could be through visualization. It could be through a dream board. It could be, we have some really cool trainings where we take people and get them to put in that future goal. So say you wanted to, I don't know, manifest 20 new clients, and you know what happens when you've achieved that goal. You've just seen the money, you've seen the booking, you've just said goodbye, you've shut the car door, and you practice finishing the goal. So not just kind of trying to see the goal, which is very hard. It's hard to see something you haven't done, but when you know how you would be after that 20th client, or you're doing a happy dance around the kitchen, or whatever it is, that's what you practice, because that is telling your brain and training your subconscious that we've done it. And then the actual action taking becomes so much easier, because manifestation can sound so fluffy, but actually it does activate a part of your subconscious called the reticular activating system, like the red car example. Or you decide you want a black horse. Everybody's got a black horse or whatever, lorry or something. It's everywhere. That's just because your brain is filtering things differently. So yeah, it's a huge part of the work that I do with people, and it works. We know from sports science it works, and it's just getting people to take a bit of time out. It doesn't need to take long. I say to people, if you can have 15 minutes a day and break it into little chunks, your life will look different in 6 months.
100%, yeah. I
Mm.
think your morning routine, your nighttime routine, the patterns across the day, I would be big into gratefulness and sitting down and writing down. I would be big
Mm.
into, I've been bored, a sign up inside beside my bathroom every morning, why you do what you do.
Mm.
And first thing you see every morning before I go near my phone, anything else,
Mm.
why you do what you do. And I think it's that reinforcement of the mind and the habits and the
Mm.
behaviors and what you want. Can I ask, who do you provide these offerings to? So what type of clientele, what type of
So
people
I
do you
largely
engage?
work with equine and canine therapists, so veterinary physiotherapists, equine body workers, and we have worked with some people that don't just sort of like hands-on treatment. We work with some coaches, but the bulk of our clients are equine and canine therapists in the UK, in Europe, and in North America, and a handful. Big shout out to the Australia crew. There's not so many over there, but yeah, we it's amazing. It really is to give people the tools, just like I used to when I used to teach people to ride. So not only do they have a great time when we're doing stuff together, but they can go and have a great time when I'm not there. And to me, that is really successful coaching. It's
Powerful.
it's not, great, brilliant. We have an amazing time when we're there, when I'm there, but you need to know what to go and do tomorrow, and 3 weeks later and 5 years later. That to me is a success.
I love that.
Mm.
One of the things, Myrna, and I'm really proud of myself that I haven't spent all of the conversation talking about this. I want to get on to the conference, of course. One question before we jump into this. Myrna said I had to ask you about wearable AI and tech in the equine space. Now, anybody who follows us will know I'm obsessed with AI. I have been for 18 months. I will definitely talk to you afterwards about some of the stuff you're doing in AI. I've written down 3 ideas already because I like how your mind works. But before we get into any of that, tell me a little bit about wearable AI and tech in the echoing space and why that
Yeah,
is
so
relevant to.
you mentioned the Healthy Horse Conference,
Yeah,
which is our annual conference that we ran for a number of years, and it had a little bit of a rest, and it's come back this year. And one of the topics we're covering is AI in the equine world, because it's amazing. There's so many cool bits of tech, and I think people are either a bit nervous or have no idea. I was talking to somebody today about, there's a really cool riding mirror. that will, you obviously you're riding past it because it's in your arena, that it will tell you how much of the time your horse's head was on the vertical, behind the vertical, in front of the vertical. And I just think, wow, when you combine something like that with things like the ridden horse ethogram, what amazing information that can give you in terms of
Huge.
how well is your horse actually going. And as a leisure rider these days, I think, oh goodness, what would I actually do with that? But imagine if you sat down with your coach and you looked at what that information provided you over a week, over a month, over 6 months. It would show you some really interesting stuff. So I think, there's so many, that's just one example. There's just so many cool bits of kit out there at the moment. And I would just love people to know how they could be helping the horse using technology, because we're a bit slow as tech adopters in the equine world. So you'll definitely be nodding
That
your head
I'm
there.
100 million% certain of.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't need to be scary. There's just so many cool things, like there's wearable devices, horses that could just indicate maybe early onset colic. And my goodness, wouldn't we all like to save our horses suffering and a massive vet bill if we possibly could? So that's really what we'll be covering at the conference about AI,
Fascinating, yeah.
and just kind of shining a light, because there's just so many cool things. Will dressage be judged
I
by
think a lot of
robots
the
in the
time it's
future?
like
Who knows?
the industry is somewhat fragmented for their understanding of tech or wearables or AI or etc. And they may know about it in silos. So I think like what you're doing is so powerful to be able to bring all of the industry, all of the levels together to see this and to be
Yeah.
able to do it in a way that's really progressive, really
Mm,
pragmatic, and that people speaking that are actually gonna you're gonna learn so much, but then you're gonna be able to take away so much and potentially implement or buy something or understand
mm,
something better. I think like there's multiple people we would be working with. Like I was in a meeting on Monday, and that's one of the things that we're talking about was this new wearable tech in Ireland. A guy who was involved in another brand that I'm in. He's building it out. Really cool. Like really, really cool piece of tech around the health of horses. I won't get into all of the information on it because I'm not allowed, but there's 5 or 6 key data points that they're tracking.
mm,
And even the person I was with was like, imagine if you had this for humans.
mm,
And they were taking it even further, like sports people, and because of the
mm,
data and the causation and correlation that you can build out from it,
mm.
hugely fascinating. What can people expect from the event? What like when you run an event like this, what are you trying to achieve, and what do you want the people attending to take away, or how do you want them to feel when attending?
Mm. Amazing question. So I want them to feel looked after. No, really why we run these events is I love science. And when I did my master's degree in equine science a zillion years ago, I really got a bug for a peer-reviewed journal article. Like, I'm a bit of a science geek at heart. And there's so much cool research, and then there's day-to-day hands-on with horses, busy in the mud. And one of the things I love doing in my company is bridging that gap, because a peer reviewed journal article we can get lost in. I was reading something the other day, I was like, gosh, I've got to read this abstract about 3 times, it's just not going in. But also we can just see that and be like, oh, that's interesting. And then our day-to-day practice just doesn't change. So how I view our role and the role of the conference is, I say, translating, it's taking the latest research and giving it to people in a way that we can make a practical change, because it's all very well knowing that we need to change behaviors and we need to tell other people. So our theme for the conference this year is empowerment. And we've got an amazing host of speakers. We've got vets, we've got researchers, behaviorists, some trainers, people from the UK, people from the US. It's a really great mixture. But that's what I would love everybody to leave with, is something practical to do differently to help horses. We're looking at environment, we're looking at the 5 domains and how you can assess quality of life. We're looking at what's changed with stifle disease, neck pain, what's new from the vet world.
Fascinating.
So many cool things. But that's really what I want. I just don't want it to be, wow, that was interesting. Shut the notebook, it's in the cupboard, tick the CPD box, nothing changes. That to me is a bad event. We want to support people to make changes and
Tangible
share the
impact.
information.
Tangible impact where
Yeah,
you actually come in and they're able to digest it. I
yeah.
like that digestible pragmatism. Something
Mm.
you can digest, it turns into rootless pragmatism and actually has impact. I think it's really important. When you're going designing an event, What's the kind of feeling you try and achieve for people? I used to do lots of events, like we've done some at Equitas, of course. Really, really interesting. For you, what's the event experience you try to create? So we've
Mm,
talked about what you want them to take away with them.
mm.
Is it knowledge bombs? Is it the community together? Is it the eye-opening thought processes you may have to go through? Is it challenging the predispositions that they have coming in, or what do you think?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. And I guess there's two different event experiences because there's an in-person part and there's an online only part. And they're almost totally different events to run, really. So I think for the in-person experience, I have been to so many absolutely shocking events in the equine industry, and I've also sat through some incredibly dull days in corporate life. And that is brilliant because it has led me to how I don't want to run events.
This is
So
how it won't happen.
yeah, so I think we've run probably knocking around the 80 events mark. And like I know how I don't want our events to be. Like you will never be bored by PowerPoint and have a rubbishy stale biscuit and a lukewarm cup of coffee. Like we put on an in-person event that like blows people's minds in the best possible way
Love
because we have amazing venue, we have a no beige policy when it comes to the food. Like it's a really incredible event that people leave with. I love to give people a proper day out because when you're with horses all day, you don't want to sit in a cold tack room. You don't want to freeze in an indoor arena all day when you don't need to be. You know, obviously if there's horses required, then
it.
that's a bit different. But if you're going to just, do talking and listen, so an amazing in-person experience. And then online, I really want people to feel like it's so much more than just people talking at them. So we try and make it as active and interactive as possible. And I love to gather everybody. I think we might do a WhatsApp group this year. We've done Facebook groups before, so that people can chat and get to know each other. Because when you go to an actual event, it is amazing to chat over coffee, talk to people, and so forth. And online is so convenient, but I think it's a shame if we lose that connection. So I want people to feel that connection online and in person. And I want people to have some wow factor. I want people to go, crikey, I didn't know that. But the biggest thing is what they do afterwards. And that's where we're going to be supporting people after the event to put some changes into place and keeping that space open to ask questions. Because I don't know if you've ever done this, but I've done this many times. Go to an event, wow, so interesting. Halfway home, oh gosh, I wish I'd asked. Da, 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 da.
Oh yeah.
That's when the information. That's when I
I wish
start
I talked to.
processing.
I wish I had said. I wish I.
Yeah,
I
I
wish I.
wish I'd asked this. I wish I'd said
Yeah, yeah.
that. And that's why I love to just keep that space open. I don't like events where you've got 7 days to watch the recording. I've got time. We've got 6 months to catch up on the recording. So if things don't go to plan, you can't make it live, you can still catch up on the recordings. But the chance to be able to ask questions after the event is something that I personally really value. And I think having been to events and I've been like, oh God, I wouldn't do it like that. It's amazing to be able, and you'll have found this yourselves as well, to run the event that you want to attend. And
All with the way me, Sarah, and Mer would build anything we do is that. That
yeah,
that literally is starting with.
yeah,
We need to build it in a way that we would like to listen.
yeah,
We would like to hear from these
yeah.
people. We would like this kind of event experience. We would like
Mm.
X, Y, or Z. I really like that. Where can people book in, buy tickets? Are they still available? When is it
Yeah,
on?
tickets
Can
are
you?
still available. This is a great time to buy a ticket, actually. This is the best price to buy a ticket. So our early bird tickets are open until the 31st of July. Where to buy a ticket would be at our website, which is nkcequestrian.com, and there is a massive button on the front of the homepage saying conference, so click that. And we have given you guys a 25% discount code for all of your followers, all of your community. So discount code plus early bird. This is your minutes to buy for sure. So that will, I'm sure you guys have got the link to share. If not,
We
it's
will put it in the
equitas.com.
link, and realistically, tomorrow
Yeah,
I'll probably do a piece on this, aligning to our chat, aligning to what you've said, the event, and there'll be a promo piece. We have an issue with the website at the minute, but I think it'll be fixed in the morning. So if it is fixed in the morning, I'll do an article on this tomorrow, and it'll go out, and the
amazing.
code will be there, and etc. Uh,
Oh, fantastic.
I like the what, and it's a good question because I like how your mindset works. What motivates you in the morning? So I like the
Oh,
question of
changing
what.
lives. I skip out of
Yeah, we
bed.
thought so. Yeah, the
I skip out
consistencies
of
of the
bed.
patterns of behavior across what you do. I'm like, I'm really curious. What motivates it?
Yeah, it's
Helping
changing
people,
lives.
changing
It
lives.
it really is. And you know, like I mentioned charity work earlier. I'm a corporate partner with Red Wings, and we've tied 20% of all the ticket sales straight to Red Wings Horse Sanctuary. And that, like, it's changing lives encompasses to me helping like charity partners like Red Wings, that's massive. Helping horse owners, they might just see a post, they might do one of our courses, and then that gives a better outcome for their horse. They feel more confident. And then the business coaching and mindset coaching, even if whether it's a coaching client or somebody who's just read one of our Instagram posts, their day's different. They've seen something gone, oh gosh, I could do that. Oh, I didn't think like that. Boom. That's their day differently. And then they have a better day. They grow their business. They help more horses. They help more dogs. So it's changing lives. Horses, people, horse owners, professionals. It is such a gift, honestly. Like, it does not work. I just cannot believe I'm in such a fortunate position to do this and
I
call
think
it a job.
pressure is a privilege. You
Yeah,
know, somebody said that to me 10 years ago, and I was like, I don't get it. I was more the no pressure, no diamonds, you know, that type of thing. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
as you
yeah.
get older or wiser, and I'm definitely getting older, I'm unsure about the wiser part, but I definitely think pressure is a privilege to be in a position where you have the honor to be able to help people, to be able
Yeah.
to change their mindset or shift how they see the world,
Mm.
or how they, even more importantly, how they see themselves. I think it's an incredibly powerful position, but it comes with a lot of responsibility,
Mm.
doesn't it? Like, how do you manage your own psyche, your own mindset? I'm always fascinated when you talk to people who talk to people about the mind, when you
Mm.
talk to people who help people with their mind, their habits, their behaviors.
Mm.
How do they put this into practice themselves? So, what does that look like for you? And is there any nuances or unique
Mm.
things that you do for your own mindset, your own
Yeah,
habits and
yeah,
behaviors?
definitely. It's a really great question. I think I've been fortunate in that I built the business with a small child, and then there was a second small child, and there was so little time to do stuff. It made me really efficient. Like when my daughter is just turned 10, actually, when she was 2, she went to a little preschool, and I had like 2 hours, 10 minutes to do some work. And I literally had to run the business in those kind of like 6 hours, 3 afternoons. And my friend lived around the corner, and she gave me a key to her house so I could give the dogs a cuddle and just sit at her kitchen table with my laptop. And I think that because I have largely worked in condensed short periods, and I've had all that time freedom, it's taken off the pressure because it's just been like, right, okay, get this thing done, shut the laptop, into the next role of being that, I don't know, picking up kids or doing something with horses or whatever that looks like. It's really enabled me to switch on and off. And I think if I tried to sit by a laptop from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m., I would be gone. Like, it just really wouldn't work for me. So that's been like a fortunate way. I've
Love
trained
that.
myself sort of by
Yeah.
accident. But you mentioned the morning routine several times, and that is a key staple. Being off my phone and being very, like, I call it reverse paranoid. So you can see everything as it's going to do whatever, but actually when you just flip it around, it's just everything is in my highest good. That helps me enormously. But you know, I work with coaches as well, and I find coaching incredibly helpful for myself because I'm not a
Hugely.
robot. I am human. We have bad days, but I am fortunate that I have the tools to work on myself. You know, everything I teach my clients and I support other people with, I do myself. I do tapping, I do hypnosis, I use my own meditation sometimes. And I just believe you've got to just find those little pockets of time. Like when I go and pick up my children in the afternoon, you have to get there a little bit early to get a car parking space. Everyone else is scrolling on their phone. I'm doing a meditation because that, to me, I've got 10 minutes. That's amazing. I can do something with that. So being so mindful of how I use my time and how I can automate mindset things that mean I'm not consciously thinking about it, but it just gets slotted in is something. Those pockets of time, I just think we've all got them. You're waiting for a water bucket to fill up.
I'm in full agreement. I taxi or train a lot of places. And people are like, but it's a lot of traveling. I'm like, oh no, I'll get into the taxi and the first thing I'll always say is, sorry, I'm talking to AI, are we okay? And then he'll say something or she'll say something, and I will literally be on my headphones going, "Can we do this? Can we do this? Can this happen? If we were to do this,
Mm,
can we?" And it's because I've 9 minutes or 8 minutes from my house to the train station. If
mm,
it's slow, if there's no traffic, 5 minutes, I take that time. When I arrive to the train station 10 minutes before the train, I have another 10 minute window. What
yeah.
can be? And I think it becomes a natural progression of behavior once the habit is formed, doesn't
Mm,
it? Like, and it
yeah.
becomes something that you search for. A
Mm,
little, like, right, I have these list of things to do, time box them in, I have 4 10 minute
yeah.
slots today. I have these little things that have been niggling at me or annoying me or I haven't
Mm.
got done, and you slot them in, and it just becomes natural then, doesn't it?
Mm. And it really is finding what works for you. I'm very fortunate. One of my very good friends is a health coach, and she's got me into all sorts of things. Cold water plunges is something that we've got really into, and I have to say that has a huge impact on my mindset.
Huge.
Even we did a challenge that we do every single day for 2 minutes throughout the whole winter. You get out of that, you feel like Superwoman, and it just massively sets you up for the day. But I just think you need a mindset menu in life because you might not feel like, yes, visualization might have been brilliant yesterday, but today you feel like doing something else. And I think if you've got a menu, you can just go, well, okay, I'm going to do a quick tapping video today, or tomorrow I'm going to do this. But it's that decision to work on yourself all the time.
That
And
investment to being a never ending improvement.
yeah, totally. And just, stepping into that best version of you. It's a choice, isn't it? I said that to someone this morning. You can wash your face, or you can wash your face like a CEO. You can wash your face like a thought leader, or you can wash your face just like somebody who's a bit tired and having a rubbish start to their Monday. You might use exactly the same products and exactly the same bathroom, but it's that energy. And that's what shifts everything, in my opinion.
I fully agree. Somebody asked me, or somebody put up a post last week, and I loved the questioning. If your life is a movie and everybody was watching it, what would they be shouting at the screen? And I
Oh, wow,
think when
that
you
was a great
genuinely
question.
sit with that question, you have to reflect. And I think that's a big part of that mentality and mindset is people will superficially reflect. And if
Mm,
they do, they predominantly do it with a negative lens, and they
mm,
predominantly do it being really harsh on themselves.
mm,
And they're doing this to try and help themselves along them. But if you're already negative with yourself, you're already normally harsh with yourself. Surely what you're doing now should be the opposite to what's got you there.
mm.
But it also just goes back to the understanding of the mind and probably the understanding of thyself and how that mind works.
Mm. I think the best way I could sum it up is, to me, mindset work, or what I call brain training for the busy, is the right exercises repeated over time. And people watching, people listening will know how to train a horse. They may even know how to train a dog as well. And it is consistent, targeted exercises. In the same way that you train your body in the gym, you train your mind in the same way.
Agreed.
But and you would go, if you wanted to get your horse from, I don't know, unfit to eventing at a particular level, you would make a plan of some description and you would stick to it. And some days you wouldn't feel like it, but if you had that goal and you were committed to that goal, you would show up and do it. And training yourself is no different. You need to know where you're going, get the exercises that you need to do. It's minutes, it's quicker than training a horse, for goodness sake. And you just got to do it. And that's that,
That's
really.
literally why I'm laughing. I'm laughing because most of the questions, male or female, by the way, will 100% do that. And I won't say to the letter of the law, but they'll follow that plan fairly
Oh,
rigidly.
they will follow that plan. The
Yeah,
leg will be hanging
but when
off,
it
it's
comes to them,
snowing.
it'll be, oh, I didn't feel like it today. But you didn't feel like it yesterday when you were doing a
Yeah,
million things and your horse needed to have X, but you done it
yeah,
anyway. Why?
yeah,
Because it's the horse and it's not you. It's
yeah,
fascinating. It's
yeah.
fascinating. If you had one piece of advice, because this is going to cut us off, if you had one piece of advice for people now when it comes to their mind, their mindset, what would it be?
Oh, I think it would be to train yourself like you train a horse, and to get off your phone. I think just limit
Uh,
your social use. Use it for good. Use it to find amazing people. Use it for inspiration. Don't use it to make yourself feel crap.
I think that is really powerful. One last time, where can people find out information about this event? When is it on? And I will say before the answers, there's an article coming on this. Click that link and buy those tickets. But
Amazing.
go on.
Yes, it's 21st, 22nd of November, and you find the tickets at nkcequestrian.com. Massive button on the homepage. And oh my goodness, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I've loved this. What a great chat.
It has been savage. It has been surreal in many ways. I've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to us chatting. I'm sure we have loads to chat about. I
Definitely.
know you are a very busy woman, so I'll make sure it's one of those slots in the day where you have that 5 minute window.
I
No
can
different.
find 10 minutes for you.
I feel so privileged. Listen, thank you so much, and I mean it, for coming on. I really want to get back to more live streams after this channel. Literally wrote down, do more live streams.
I
This has
love
been
doing
fun.
live. So much fun. It really is.
It's
Really
been
is.
awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Folks, I think Murray and another guest are back on next Tuesday. We will break this up and put it up on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been
Oh,
an
thank
absolute
you.
pleasure. And we can't
Amazing.
wait to see you at your event.
Oh, take care. Thanks so
Take care. All the
much.
best. Bye bye.